All right, folks, welcome back to the channel. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks so much for joining us. In today's video, we're going to demonstrate how to set up the double rig and the triple rig presentations for crappie. I've been using both of these presentations, and I've been absolutely killing the crappie with them. And I had a question from someone to demonstrate how to set this up, and so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that now. This is both of these presentations are very efficient. You can use them multiple times of year. Springtime, summertime, fall time work very, very well. You can pitch with them very easily. Lightweight jigs that fall through the water column, making it very easy to finesse fish. When you got more jigs in the water, you're up your chances to get more strikes. And if you're catching fish on multiple, all of your jigs, and you can see then which one is working for you, and then change up your jig to increase your catch ratios. All in all, very, very, very effective presentations, both the double jig and the triple jig rig. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set those up right now. The knot that I use to tie these rigs is a simplified version of the loop knot. And because you may not be able to see clearly enough when I use the actual fishing line on the fishing pole to tie the knot, I'm going to use high-vis material first to demonstrate how we tie that knot, so that you'll have a frame of reference when we demonstrate how to tie that knot on the main line. So this is going to represent our jig. This is our fishing line. And so to tie this simplified version of the loop knot, we're going to bring our tag in through the eye of the jig. We're going to pinch off about 6 inches, enough to be able to take the residual and bring around the middle finger and then clutch back in between the thumb and index finger like that. And we want to be able to have enough of a gap here to bring the jig through this loop 3 to 4 times. And we're only going to do it one time for purposes of this demonstration with high-vis material, but you want to be able to, on the main line, and you'll see when we demonstrate this on the main line, we want to be able to bring the jig through this loop 3 to 4 times. Then we want to be able to take our index finger and thumb, and we want to grab the inner bend of the loop that's closest to the jig, and we want to draw on that main line just a bit. And you'll see when we do that, we're decreasing the size of that loop, and at the same time, we're lessening the distance between what will be the knot and the jig. If you do this too high, you'll wind up with a knot that's about 2 to 3 inches above the jig, and we don't want that. The efficient knot will be between an inch to a half an inch from the actual jig. We want to moisten this, and then we want to cinch it down. Always moisten it first before cinching it, so as not to burn the knot and weaken the integrity of the knot. Let's go ahead and demonstrate that once more. Our jig, this is our main line. We'll bring the fishing line through the eye of the jig. We'll pinch off about 6 inches like this. We'll bring it around our middle finger and then pinched in between our index finger and thumb, like so. And we want to be able to bring the jig through the loop that's created 3 to 4 times. We're only going to do it one time here. Then we're going to take and hold the inner bend of the loop that's created closest to the jig, and we want to draw on that main line, letting it slide through our thumb and index finger, decreasing the size of the knot and distance between what will be the knot and the jig. And once we've got it to about an inch, half inch, somewhere around in there, we want to moisten the knot and then cinch that down. Okay? And now let's go ahead and demonstrate that now on the main line. All right, so we're going to demonstrate the triple rig setup first. With this rig, we want to end up with about 14 inches between each of the jigs. And so make sure that you've taken off enough line off of your main line, that you have enough drawn out so that you can account for that configuration. This setup is going to be exactly the way that I have been using it on the water, and at the end of the video, you'll get a chance to see me use these plastics in action to catch crappies, and so stay to the end. So let's go ahead and start with our top jig. The jig that's at the top goes on first, and so just as we saw demonstrated with the high-vis material, we're going to go ahead and get our jig onto the main line. We're going to get that up high enough to account for about 14 inches between each of the jigs. And next we want to pinch off 6 inches. About that. I'm going to go ahead and bring the residual around the middle finger, like that. Clutch back in between the thumb and index finger. Then we want to bring this jig through the loop that's created 3 to 4 times. 2, 3, 4. Then we want to grab the inner bend of the loop here between our index finger and thumb, and we want to slowly draw that main line. You see how that loop is decreasing in size, and what's happening is it's also decreasing in distance as well. Once we have it about an inch, give or take a little bit from the actual jig head, we want to moisten that and then cinch it down, remembering always to moisten. Okay, we're going to bring on our second jig now, just like before. Go ahead and get that on. And we'll get that up to, guesstimate, about 14 inches, somewhere in there. Looks about right. We'll go ahead and pinch off about 6 inches. So right there. I'm going to bring our residual around our middle finger and then clutch back in between our thumb and index finger. We want to take the jig and bring it through the loop 3 to 4 times. 2, 3. We'll just do 3 times here. We'll take the inner bend of the loop in between our index finger and our middle finger and thumb. We'll take our main line and we'll just slide that through, decreasing the size of that loop. Yeah. Once we've got it to the optimal efficient size, we'll go ahead and moisten that off and we'll cinch that down. And now we'll go ahead and bring our last jig on, like so. Pinch off, get that measurement right. Yep, yep, something like that. Looks pretty good. Pinch off about 6 inches. Bring it around the middle finger, clutch back in between the index and thumb, and we'll bring our jig in and around and into that loop 3 to 4 times. Yeah, we'll go ahead and grab the bend of that loop closest to the jig, like that. And we'll draw in on that main line gently to decrease the size of that loop, which will become our knot, until we have that at a very efficient distance from the jig head. We'll go ahead and moisten it and cinch that down. And this is our triple rig. Very, very efficient presentation, guys. And now we'll go ahead and demonstrate the double jig setup as well. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our double jig. Now, the knots are the same. The only difference between the double jig rig and the triple jig rig is that for the double jig, I run a 16-inch gap between the jigs instead of like a 14-inch gap between the jigs on the triple jig. rig. But other than that, exactly the same setup. Again, make sure that you've got enough line drawn out on your fishing pole to allow for the configuration, and whichever jig is going to be on the top, it goes onto the line first. And so we'll go ahead and, just as with the triple jig setup, we'll go ahead and bring the tag end of our line through the jig, the jig head, oops, and bring that far enough up the line to allow for 16 inches between both jigs. I'm going to pinch off about 6 inches there, and then bring that around the middle finger and clutch them back in between the thumb and index finger here. And then we want to bring this through the jig, through the loop, 3 to 4 times. Being very careful not to poke yourself with the hook. And one more, like so. And we'll go ahead and then grab the inner bend of that loop that's closest to the jig head. And then on our main line, we want to draw that in just like that, decreasing the size of the loop and what will be the knot. We'll go ahead and moisten that down and then cinch that in. And again, please remember to moisten your knot and not to cinch it before you've moistened it so that you don't burn the knot. All right, let's go ahead now and bring on our second jig. Bring that through the eye of the jig. Just like so. I'll measure that off to about, somewhere around in there. Yeah. Pinch off about 6 inches. Bring it around the middle finger and bring our jig through that loop 3 to 4 times. 3, 4. Grab the inner bend of that loop closest to the jig. Draw in on our main line and tag and decrease the size of that loop. Yeah. And moisten it down and then cinch it in. All right, guys, and so that's it. We've got our triple jig rig set up here. Yeah, and then we've got our double jig rig set up here. And these are my fall go-to colors and plastic. These are the exact plastic and colors and patterns that I use for my fall approach. And I'll explain in another video how I go about choosing and why I've chosen these colors, but they are the exact ones. On the bottom here I've got Bobby Garland baby shad pattern monkey milk. In the middle I've got the ghost pattern, and then at the top this is the special outlaw, again baby shad pattern plastics by Bobby Garland. And these are 1/16 ounce jig heads, Mo-Glow by VMC. And I've got orange on top and 2 chartreuse on the bottom. And then on my second pole, ghost pattern, baby shad by Bobby Garland, and Vegas pattern, baby shad by Bobby Garland. Both pink jig heads, 1/16 ounce. Again, both fall setup fishing rigs. This is for a partly cloudy scenario, and this is late evening or complete cloud cover cold front scenario. I've been using them both together and I've been absolutely killing them, guys. And so hopefully the setup was informative enough for you. If you've got any questions about the setup at all, leave me a comment and I'll be happy to get back to you. If you're enjoying the content, please like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to do that, guys. And if you'd like to see me use this triple rig setup to fish for crappie and standing timber, go ahead and click this video right here, right now. If you'd like to see me use this setup to fish for crappie and absolutely nail them during a cold front, click this video right here, right now. And we will see you next time. Thanks for watching.